a channel celebration. Of course I'm wearing a crown. A few weeks ago, we hit 20k over in our cozy little corner of the spider's web, and I asked you all to vote on which project we should do to celebrate, and 57% of you voted that we make a project out of scraps from every project I have ever made on the channel thus far. And just for a visual aid, this is my scrap bag. It is very tightly condensed down, and recently I had to start an overspill. So I also have this box. A lot of ideas got floated around on what we could do. A lot of you guys mentioned quilts and tapestries and coats and robes, specifically Bilbo's patchwork robe, which was very, very tempting. Very nearly did that. However, whilst I was Pinteresting around for inspiration, started onto the path of looking at Bernard and the Evil Witch from Return to Oz, because those are some childhood favorites right there. And both of those costumes have a very similar kind of look to them and a very similar color palette. And through looking at these in so much detail, something new was brought to my Pinterest feed. Introducing the red dress. Get prepared to have a new obsession because this is the coolest thing ever. The red dress was a project made by a British textile artist. She made all of the panels of the dress and then sent them around the world to be embroidered by hundreds of other textile artists. It is pretty much one of the biggest collaborations of its kind. In total, there were 380 different artists who worked on the dress in 51 different countries over a period of 14 years. This project is insane. And ever since its completion, it pretty much just tours the world in different exhibitions and is constantly on display. I'm just obsessed with this whole thing. All of this was a very long-winded way of saying that we are going to be making our own version of the red dress. I was also kind of thinking that by making the project in this manner over the years, I can keep adding to it, so I can make sure that this project will always contain a little piece of everything I ever make. I also figure that one day, maybe, if anybody is interested, this can be the kind of thing that we actually collaborate on together, as the inspiration from the original is that this was a collaboration dress worked on by hundreds of different artists. I just love the idea of it really just being this channel thing where it always gets added to, it's always being built on, and again, hopefully one day people other than me are adding to it as well. I just figured that might be cute. Previously on Madame Myriad. As this is a very big project, I decided to make the base dress in a separate video, only I disguised it as a dragonfly ball gown so you guys wouldn't know what I was up to. I used my self-made princess bodice pattern as it was the first pattern I ever used and it's how I learned to sew. I also used a half circle base skirt, but that choice was more out of fabric restrictions than anything else. Speaking of fabric, this entire dress was made out of leftover Scarlet Witch fabrics, which means I have one project already included and 33 more to go. Let's unleash the scrap bag. I don't know why I blocked my doorway with the tripod before bringing the bag in here, but that's the way I went. I have the vague recollection of putting something with pins still in it in this bag at some point, so I should probably be careful for that, but I don't know if I did that or not. Definitely feels very on brand for me. Oh my god. There's also the box too. That's where my hat went. That feels like that shouldn't have been put in there. That's also just an entire piece of fabric. I'm making a lemon cake. I need to get it out of the oven. I'm already finding pins in it all. Fueled with lemon cake, I started gathering the white fabrics. As I have made a lot of white base projects over the last 2 years, this pretty much cut the pile in half. There was a lot of dust and fibers digging through these. Oh, these are wonder fabrics. It was the first thing I ever finished. It took a whole 5 minutes of sorting before the nostalgic distractions set in. Oh my god, I know what that's from. Okay, story time. Back when we were living in our first flat, I decided I wanted to make Anna's coronation dress from Frozen. And I bought some fabric and I started cutting out the skirt panels and putting it together. And then I decided that I hated it, so I just never touched it again. This is the skirt panels pinned together in those long strips and I just never touched it. Should I include that in this dress? I feel like it was never really a project, so I don't know whether or not that fabric counts. Oh my god, there's so much. For how long I've been doing this pile has no right to still be this big. And yeah, I am lying on it and it still has pins in it. On we march. pile is getting smaller, but it is also getting smaller. So it's taking ages. Why did I even keep pieces this little? I want it to be done now. I sorted through as much of the pile as I could, but at a certain point, it was just fabric mulch. And whilst I take a much needed break and go breathe some air that isn't filled with fibers, this video is sponsored, so to talk briefly about that, this video is sponsored by Skillshare. No surprise to my regular peeps that I am a member of Club ADHD, which basically means I try on hobbies like hats. Except I don't really wear hats because unless they're knitted, I find them too overstimulating. Speaking of knitted, one of my goals for this year was to knit something. And it is September and I have still been too intimidated to even go near that goal, which is where Skillshare comes in. Skillshare is an online learning platform filled with thousands of creative classes led by amazingly talented people, some of whom you may recognize from here on YouTube, and they cover pretty much every skill you could think of. Now, whilst my current goal is to knit something before the year ends, my saved list on Skillshare, it's full of loads of things like embroidery classes, painting tutorials. I do Agassi's bookbinding beginners class, which I'm really excited to try out. And whilst you can just find this stuff online anywhere, the really special thing about Skillshare is how in-depth all of the classes go, so well structured and easy to navigate. When I'm too intimidated to start a new thing, it's because the online space is just so overwhelming with too much information that I do not know where to start. But with Skillshare, I've been able to find some classes that are really well structured, that are easy to follow, easy to double back on and keep revisiting if you're not following steps, which is very helpful. Right now I'm working my way through Isabella Gajovic's Easy Knitting Basics for Beginners class, knitting a DIY scrunchie. So if you are like me and you have some skills that you really want to learn, Skillshare is the place to go. And for the first 500 people who click the link in my description or the QR code on the screen, you will be able to get 1 month free trial of Skillshare. And if you do join some classes or you're already doing some classes, let me know what you guys have been up to and if you've been posting your project results in the little community tabs, because I'd love to go check them out. I think those features are so much fun that we can all share that together. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now back to the project. That is so much light. I basically had no practical plan past putting it all in piles, so I've spent a couple of hours trying to figure out what to do next, and I've cracked it. Sticky notes and little plastic wallets, and on the sticky notes I'm going to write down and maybe do a little doodle of a design idea, and then I'm going to pick out fabrics that I'm going to make that out of and put it into a plastic wallet with the sticky note. So I'll just have all these plastic wallets of designs I need to assemble. That feels like the only logical way to keep this orderly. As you can see, the sketching is already going really, really well. Bag one complete. These drawings just keep getting better. Not that you can really make them out in this direct light. We have a whole collection of bags ready to turn into designs. We have 14 bags altogether, and there is still a massive pile on the floor. I know I organized it into nice piles, but I am just going to dump all of this back into the big bag. This was never going to be a scrap busting project, so obviously I have tons left. I'm unsure if I want to try and make some scrap-based items like prickly alpaca's last few videos, or if I should just bundle them up and post them out to people who will actually get use out of them. Forgive me for my doodling abilities. We have planned a raven, a peacock, a swan, mushrooms, forest floor vibes, bugs, bats, blossom branches, lavender, a dragon, a stained glass window, autumn leaves, and finally a sun and moon design. I also planned to do a space galaxy style thing, but it did not make the cut. I was all set up ready to show the action shot of printing out the designs I spent all night working on, and my printer just flat out stopped working. Diva sure picks its moments.
6.5 hours later.
You like my new printer? we have printed templates. This isn't all of them. I've just printed off the first set to make a start today. We're going to be focusing on the mushrooms, the butterflies, the bats, and then the sun and moon design as well. I've tried to number everything so I can try my best to keep track of what pieces go with what. Hopefully this will not get too confusing. I also bought a new little baby rotary cutter so I can cut out all of the little shapes. I'm very excited to use this. Obviously not on paper, I'm not a psychopath. I started cutting out some red mushrooms first. Originally I was cutting out all the complete mushroom pieces together, and then I realized that this was going to take a very long time, so I switched to batching them out instead. I also cut out a lot of grass and a lot of leaves too. I then had the genius plan that I was going to use a spray glue to quickly adhere the pieces onto the dress. Unfortunately, this glue was terrible. I thought it was working until I tried lifting up the dress to take it to the machine and everything started falling off. I then had to lay it back down, put all the pieces back in place and start hand stitching them on instead. This was not an ideal solution. New approach. I have purchased 3 meters of applique paper. With this stuff, I can iron all of my designs directly onto the paper, cut them out again, and then peel off the back and iron that directly onto the dress. And unlike the glue, it will actually be held in place, which means I can actually use the machine for the embroidery, which is what I wanted to do from the start. I've already done a test run with the machine this morning. I've done a little hoop and I've been practicing just stitch work and different tension settings and stuff, just trying to figure out how best to do it. My machine isn't really built for machine embroidery. There are some machines that have the little like flicky switch thing that basically just puts the teeth grippers down so that they don't touch the fabric. My machine can't do that, so I opened it all out to unscrew the little teeth grippy thingies and just take them out while I do this. Only my screwdriver is too big to like fit in the direction it needs to, so I botched it. I made a little cardboard surface thing and I've taped it down onto the machine and I've left a little hole in the center so that the machine needle can go up and down and the bobbin thread can come out and it can still stitch. And obviously I've tested it and it works absolutely fine. Let's crack on with machine embroidery. I even bought a new hoop for the occasion. I figured I'd get one of these because I thought the rubber would be less likely to leave marks on the silk than with using wooden ones. These are actually harder to get on than I thought. Go around, please. Why? No. How do people do this? Those are harder to put on than I thought they'd be. I stitched on a rock. Oh, I like this. Okay, that one was particularly bad, but I'm still getting the grips with it. I was gonna just do it one color at a time, but based on how hard it was to get that hoop on, I think I'm just gonna switch out all the colors of the thread and just do each section in one complete go. I tried to get a relaxing bobbin shot, but this thing happened. Why? That is my first section complete. Very, very roughly. The grass in particular is a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. I am going to be here for a very long time. With the hand-stitched pieces now stitched on correctly, I moved on to making the first batch of appliques. I had to be very mindful with this so I didn't lose track of which mushroom tops went with which stems. This took about 20 minutes to do and 2 of the mushrooms have already fallen off, but I think that's my fault. I think I need to press it down for longer than I did. I've never done this before. I don't know how long I'm supposed to leave it. I'm going to do a couple more batches of those big paper sheets and then I think I'm going to enlist Dan's help to sit and cut them all out so then I can get them ironed onto the skirt and then just spend hours and hours and hours and hours embroidering them all down. I'm going to fly through this pretty quickly on your end so we can move on to some other designs. This bit was a lot nicer than using the glue. I worked in sections as there is only so much skirt I can fit onto the ironing board at one time. I didn't stitch the items down right away though, as I wanted to make a start on some of the other designs, beginning with the bats, the butterflies, and the sun and moon design. I then printed and cut out the remaining 8 designs. Just a little end of day update from me. I am losing my mind. I have been cutting out pieces all day. I've cut out most of the designs now. I am personally excited to see the stained glass window one come together because I think this one's going to be really, really cute. And for the lavender, I realized that my Rapunzel dress fabric had these little flower things on them that looked like lavender, so I just cut around all of those rather than making them myself. I also made sure in the autumn leaves to include the fabric from my autumn dress that I've just made as well, which was one last project to add to everything. The only things I have left to cut out are the raven and the peacock, which I think I'm going to leave for tomorrow because I need to make a start now the sun goes up. Thank you. I need to make a start on getting all of this put onto the applique paper and then cut out again. Which, to be fair, with some of the bits, I haven't entirely cut it out properly. Like, I've just cut out pieces that fit the strips. Are you seriously coming back out right now? It's the end of the day, it's just getting like this. So I don't have to fully cut it all out again, but it's still gonna take a while to get through all of this. So, some ironing to do, and then lots of more cutting. I've just ironed these 2 sheets, and that is the last of my applique paper. I'm gonna have to run to the shop tomorrow to pick up some more to be able to do the raven and the peacock, so I guess it's a good job I didn't bother cutting those out today. Good news! The cutting is getting to me a little bit. Anyway, applique paper. Whilst I was aware I had some offcuts of the applique paper, I didn't know I had this many because I found more on the floor, and I think I have just about enough to make the last 2 designs if I happen to go to the shop, which would be wonderful. What else? Oh, I cut out all the stuff last night. So now everything is in their own little plastic wallet, all ready to be ironed onto the skirt. It's amazing how we started out with the sofa full of big bags and it's now condensed down to this. It does, however, mean that the studio is once again full of scrap fabric everywhere because I've just been throwing it around. What else? After we sort out the raven and the peacock appliques, I want to get the skirt back onto the mannequin, and this time I'm going to use my Victorian hoop and petticoat underneath it so I can really just blow it all out. So that way, when I'm figuring out where I'm placing my appliques, I can actually see how the spacing is properly, if that makes any kind of sense. Anyway, enough chit chat, so much to do. All right, I think I'm probably going to start with the peacock because I feel like it's going to be the harder one. This is also my collection of all the designs just so I can keep track of what I've been doing. I haven't fully cut out all of these pieces yet because the peacock one is the hardest to keep track of. Each of these is like a different tier of feathers, so I've numbered them and kept them in their groups so I don't lose track. I'm hoping if I focus enough, I shouldn't entirely lose my mind.
No longer in possession of one's faculties, 3 fries short of a happy meal. Wacko!
I have assembled it into a peacock and I've added some decimal points onto each of the markings just to help me keep track of them even further, because this is going to get difficult. I was simultaneously trying to keep track of where each one went, trying to make sure the template pieces stayed with the fabric pieces, and trying to make sure I didn't cut feathers out of the same fabric that would sit next to each other. I am most definitely going to lose track of these trying to iron them. I was correct, I lost track of them. But it's okay, because I took a lot of reference pictures before I moved everything, so I just need to look at the pictures and match it all back up, and we will be good. I need a better mannequin, this is ridiculous. Obviously this is not the structure that I will be using for the final dress. It is purely just to spread it out so that I can decide where the designs are going to go. I do love how absolutely adorable the hem looks though. I tried my best to film positioning all of the designs. It didn't really work. It's a very large dress in a not particularly big room. Moving swiftly on. The only thing I haven't decided is where the raven's gonna go, but I think if I get all of this on, I will have a much clearer idea. I think we shall start with the sun. You know what would help? If I peeled the paper off the back. Kind of a vital step for this stuff. Try this again. The frame shifted ever so slightly when I ironed it down, which is infuriating because this was so fiddly to get into place and now it's just slightly off. I'm hoping that when I do the stitch work over the top of this, I can just fill it in. It's been such a long day. Everything has taken so much longer than I thought it would. I have most designs now ironed in place. All of those are going to need stitch work over the top, so that's probably going to be like my next 2 days. The peacock is still on the applique paper, so I still need to cut that out and then iron it on. The raven I haven't even started yet, so I also still need to cut out all that fabric and do all these steps. But we are reaching the end. We are so close. First thing, I got the last of the appliques ironed together. I have just about squeezed the stress into the hallway. Decided I want my peacock down here, and then the tail will trail down. And then just across, I'm gonna have the raven sat here, and then I'm gonna create some branches that they are sitting on that come up from the ground. I am so tired today. I feel like I'm just falling asleep while stood up. This project has really taken it out of me. Going to assemble the peacock first. I have all of my pieces laid out on the table in front of me so I can just transfer them one at a time and hopefully get it all built up. This is definitely taking more brain cells than I currently have available to me. I started with the stained glass design and very quickly realized that I could not get straight lines with the embroidery setup, so I did the filling in stitching in gold and left the black outlining for later when my machine had its teeth back. I then started working my way through the skirt designs. I tried. This side of me are the ones I have completed stitching, and this side of me are the ones I still need to do. We're going to be here for so very long. I kind of abandoned the hoop for some of them because it was taking so long to take it on and off. It drastically reduced the filling visibility though, so I apologise for that. I did not think it through. And with all other designs complete, it was time to revisit the black outlining on the stained glass design. I quickly did the curved areas of the design and then removed my botched embroidery setup and restored the regular sewing foot. As my very last task, I added some ribbon embroidery branches for my birds to sit on as a little homage to my Met Gala dress. That was the funnest shoot I have ever done. I haven't done the edit yet, so I don't know if that footage is actually usable, but I got a rainbow, so that's the important part. I might just have to intercut it with some studio shots, it'll be fine. This project was really challenging, but it also brings me so much joy to see it all complete and see all those little designs on there. And there is still so much more I can do to this dress, so in a year or two, it will be making a return and we will be adding even more onto it. And this time I will know how to do it and to just use applique paper from the start. Thank you to everybody who voted on my 20k poll. Thank you to everybody who is that 20k. I appreciate and love you all. And to anybody who is not part of that 20k, don't forget to like and subscribe if you think you might like it here in this little corner of the spider's lair. All are welcome. Feel free to leave me a comment down below because you guys know how much I love to chat with you all. And if you deem me worthy, maybe bestow upon me a hype. I actually didn't know this was a thing until last week. YouTube has a feature where you get 3 hypes per week to gift to small baby channels, and by giving a channel a hype on a video in the first 7 days, you will then help that channel reach new corners of the tubeverse. So again, if you deem me hype worthy,
do you think you're sponge worthy?
Much obliged. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and for the first 500 of you to click the link down in my description or scan the QR code on the screen, you will be granted 1 month free of Skillshare to quench thine creative thirst. And I will see you all in my next video. We have some good stuff coming up this autumn. Many cool things are happening. Direct sunlight, my old nemesis. This was a really weird thing to do. Loosen up, this is fine. Stop being so nervous. Words!